Holy cow. I have to tell you, there's a very exciting thing happening here. I'm Jim Cramer, co-founder of TheStreet.com. There's been someone who's been with TheStreet.com at RealMoney.com, perhaps the most loyal, I think the most commonsensical, controversial writer I've ever seen. Someone whom I read even way before we started TheStreet.com. The first guy I ever read online. And I only know him as Rev Shark, but I also said, well, you have to know him as James DePorter. This guy gets it. You read his column every day if you're like me. Welcome to TheStreet.com.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's good to be here.
People just think we never met each other. I've been reading him every day for 6 years. We never met each other. And there's a great occasion here. Rev Shark has a book called Invest Like a Shark. Get this subtitle. How a deaf guy with no job and limited capital made a fortune investing in the stock market. Let's start there. How did a deaf guy with no job and limited capital make a fortune, and then share his insight with our readers?
Well, the way I started off with about $20,000 in capital. And what I learned was that I had to trade traders. I wasn't trading the market, I was trading the emotions of the other people out there. It didn't matter what the company did, it mattered what the buyers and sellers were doing. Though that is what I had to focus on. And when I learned that lesson, that the market is moving supply and demand and emotions and psychology, I was able to start profiting from it instead of looking at balance sheets and income statements and those type of things.
How does this apply to our average viewer versus the fundamental strategy that you just outlined that didn't work for you? How does it apply? How can we use it?
Well, I think what you have to keep in mind is that when you're looking at stock, what moves stocks are the news and the emotions and the overall mood of the market to a great degree. So you really have to keep your finger on the pulse of the market. I mean, that's what we try to do on Real Money, is talk about what the environment is, because it's that environment that's going to determine whether those stocks are moving or not.
So often you and I get email, and the thrust of it is, if MasterCard reported such a great quarter, why is it down 3? You're the only column that answers that. Can you talk about the disconnect between what a lot of ours, particularly some of our younger viewers, see in the marketplace day to day and what the reality is?
Well, you have to realize with the stock market that it's all about expectations. And so when people are expecting something to happen, they price it in before it actually occurs. So if I think the stock is going to have a great quarter next week, I buy the stock today. When that great quarter is reported, I sell it and lock in my profit. So it goes down, even the news is fantastic.
People have to understand that's the right way to do it. Now, at the end of this video, I just want to say, okay, we talked about limited capital, we talked about making a fortune investing. Deaf guy with no job, people are going to want to know about that.
Well, when I was practicing law in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I had a little tax practice, and I started losing my hearing suddenly. I had minor hearing loss most of my life, but all of a sudden I was on the phone with an IRS agent trying to negotiate a tax shelter settlement for a client, and I could not hear what the woman was saying to me. And it just became clear to me I couldn't practice law anymore. So I basically lost everything I had at the time. And luckily for me, the internet was starting to emerge. It allowed me to communicate with people, because for you to talk to me, you would have to write me notes. And so that allowed me to get in there, and I found this little community of stock market players.
I first heard of you through the great Joe Nassar from the New York Times. He said, listen, there's a guy doing revolutionary stuff on the web. You got to start reading him.
Well, it was such a, it was such a interesting thing, and the stock market's still so interesting. That's what both of us love about it, is because of its people and its psychology. And if you if you can delve into that stuff, you can find ways to get good money doing it.
Excellent. With Rev Shark, the book it's not coming out till November, but get ready for it. Invest Like a Shark: How a Deaf Guy with No Job and Limited Capital Made a Fortune Investing in the Stock Market. This man and I have been dueling it out for years. Stay tuned for our next video to talk about that.